Hello, I am so glad you're here. My name is Caitlin, and today I'm going to be breaking down EF Ultimate Break's Peru and Machu Picchu Adventure itinerary. If you are watching this video, it is because you are either one, already booked on this trip and you want an idea of what you're getting yourself into, or two, you're interested in booking this trip. So my goal for this video is really, like I said, to break down this itinerary and give you more of a what to expect compared to the itinerary posted on their website. This was my third trip with EF Ultimate Break, and of the 4 that I have been on, this was by far my favorite. So I absolutely loved this trip, and I 100% would do it again. So before I get down to breaking down this itinerary, I do want to remind you I am an EF Ultimate Break ambassador, which means that when you book your first trip using the link in the video description below, it will automatically apply the promo code UACaitlin100. And this will save you $100 off your trip. Again, this has to be for your first trip and your first trip only. After you travel with them, you will get a repeat code, and that is worth a little bit more than the $100 off for your first time traveling. So, let's break down this itinerary. This trip is advertised as 10 days. So you are looking at 9 nights and hand-picked accommodations. And when you look at the what you'll get section, it includes, like I said, 9 nights and hand-picked accommodations, 9 breakfasts, 3 dinners, your tour director, 24/7 support, 3 insider tours with local guides, guided excursion to the Sacred Valley, and an entrance to Machu Picchu. So you're getting a lot with this trip. And the other thing I want to point out to you is that all of the itineraries listed, or all of the dates or departures listed, are all plus itineraries. This means that you are staying in hotel style accommodations with up to 2 travelers of the same gender per room. So you are not in hostels. This also means, you get 1 extra dinner essentially. So you're going to get your welcome dinner, your farewell dinner, and then 1 extra dinner. Day 1 is your flight to Lima. So this means you are finally on your way to Peru and you are kicking off your trip. I personally, when I book a trip, I file a support ticket through my account on EF Ultimate Break, and I request an airline and a flight path that I am comfortable with. So I've been flying on Delta, and I sent them the times of the flights I wanted, and they were able to arrange that for me. So that was very nice. I landed in Peru probably around 10-ish or so. And then once you land, if you have arranged your flights through EF Ultimate Break, this means that you have arranged transportation from the airport to your hotel, as well as from your hotel to the airport on the last day of your trip. So our tour director sent us a message ahead of time of where to meet and wait for her to go to the hotel. So we already knew our meeting point, so that was, not confusing ahead of time. And she also set up transportation for those who did not book their flights with EF. And so that was obviously an extra cost, but she was able to help them arrange that rather than, trying to get a taxi at the airport. So that is something that they may be able to do depending on who your tour director is. They will be in the chat on your app after you book. Not necessarily right after you book, but once they show up on the app, you can reach out and ask if that's something they're able to help you with if you are booking your own flights. We got to our hotel probably around 1 a.m.-ish, and not because it was really far away or anything, but simply because the president of Peru happened to be driving around. So the roads were closed. So it took a hot second for our bus to be able to get to us, to pick us up and take us to the hotel. There was nothing that we could do to control that. That was just part of it. It was kind of a funny story. Day 2 is your first full day in Peru. And on the website, it is saying sightseeing tour of Lima and your welcome dinner. But we had a full day on day 2. So we got up and had breakfast. And then we had a meeting with our tour director, who I had Sally, and I specifically booked these dates to have Sally because I had heard such great things about her, and everything I heard was correct. She was incredible. So if you have Sally, you are going to be in for an incredible trip. So we had a welcome dinner, or welcome So we had a welcome meeting with Sally, and that really was to kind of go over her expectations of us for the trip, as well as what we can expect from her and from the itinerary. It was also kind of like, you know, the icebreakers where it's like, hi, my name is Caitlin, and I'm from so-and-so, and I'm looking forward to this, that, and the other. So we did a little bit of that. It did take a little bit because we had 40 people in our group. It was a very large group, but this group was incredible and just really jived really well together. So we had our welcome meeting, and then she took us on a walking tour of the area around her hotel. And this is not listed on the itinerary, but she did this just so that we could get acquainted to the area by our hotel and be comfortable walking around. We went to the coast, not down to the actual beach, but we could see the coast. So we took some pictures and things, had a cute little plaza there. And then we went to lunch. She offered 2 locations that we could go to. I think everyone ended up going to the same place. And while we were there, she had a local contact come and exchange cash for us. So that was really nice that we weren't having to look for an ATM, especially because I did not exchange any cash at the airport. And he was able to give us a pretty good rate. So that was really nice that we were able to do that without all the hassle. And we were able to do that while we were waiting for our food. And then we did get up and meet with the local guide. So this is not going to be Sally for this part, but we went to one of the pyramids in the city, which is really cool that there is just a random pyramid in the middle of the city. I mean, really, the city was built around the pyramid, but we got to walk up to the top of it, and there was really neat views of the city line and things like that. She also took us to the Church of San Francisco, and I mean, it was a beautiful church. You're not able to take pictures inside, but we did get to go down to the catacombs, and that was neat. And yeah, someone on our group definitely did sneak some pictures, so I'm going to show you what that looks like. I didn't do it, though, I promise. And then after that, I mean, like I said, this day was full. So after the church, we had a little bit of time again it wasn't really a park, but it was just an area where a bunch of people were hanging out. We got to try some dessert thing that Sally and this tour guide bought for us. And then we went to our welcome dinner. And for your welcome dinner, you get to have, or it is included, 1 wine, beer, soda, or water. But we also had pisco sour included. That was not like one of the options. It didn't take away from what you got, as well as another like local drink. So we ended up with multiple drinks from the welcome dinner. I don't know, but the welcome dinner was really good. It was 3 course, so like an appetizer, main, and dinner or dessert. And then after that, we went back to the hotel because we had a really early day the next day. Day 3, you are traveling to Cusco. Let me back up a second. It is very important that you start hydrating well on day 2. I would encourage you to bring a pack of electrolytes, like a liquid IV or something along those lines, because you're going to want to take at least 1 pack of those a day and drink that, because you do not want to get altitude sickness in Cusco. So, sorry. Now we're hitting day 3. Day 3, you're traveling to Cusco. It is an early morning. I have a video of when I woke up, and it was 4:40 in the morning. We were at the airport by 6:40. There was no time for breakfast at the hotel, so I did get something from the airport at one of like the little bakeries or things. And then the flight from Lima to Cusco was not overly long, maybe 2 hours. And I mean, it's a normal flight, nothing crazy, nothing fancy. Once we landed in Cusco, our tour director, we got on the bus and we went to the hotel. We were able to check into our rooms, kind of refresh and things like that before heading back out. We went to the center plaza. There was a church and we got to walk around. She also arranged for us, if you sent her, she gave us some options and you said, hey, I want this or this and this to drink. It was not an included meal, but the restaurant had it ready for us, or they had our orders in at least. So she helped arrange lunch for us that day, and that was really nice. We went to this Italian place, which I know is kind of crazy because you're in Peru, but they had handmade rolls that were to die for. So it was delicious. And the goals of today were to keep us busy and active and moving, trying to acclimate to the altitude. So we also went on a bus, like a 2-decker bus, and went up to the Christ the Redeemer statue that they have there, and got to see, the statue, but also the city from above, and that was really neat. And then we went to an alpaca factory and got to see, kind of the differences in different alpaca furs and, real versus fake. And they taught you how to identify real versus fake. And then we came back to the hotel, and we were just having really cultured food for some reason. We went to a Chinese restaurant. And I don't know how she managed to do it, but Sally arranged us to have reservations for like 30 people, maybe an hour ahead of time. And I just think she has a lot of connections in the city, because that was awesome. Day 4 is your sightseeing tour of Cusco, and this does not actually start until 3 p.m.-ish. So you have a large portion of the day that is free time, and you can go shopping or do whatever you want to do. However, our tour director did provide an optional activity that was not sanctioned by EF Ultimate Break. So, like I said, we accepted all responsibilities for this activity in case of, accidents or things like that. We were liable for that and not EF Ultimate Break. But it was a visit to a lake, and then an ATV ride, and then a visit to the salt mines. And because so many people ended up going, we split up into 2 groups. Our group started out at the lake and then went to the ATV. And the ATV, they gave us an instruction on how to use the ATVs. We did have helmets and things like that. And honestly, I don't know how long we were on the ATVs, but we did stop midway and take pictures of the scenery. And it really was beautiful. After we were done riding the ATVs, they had a little shop, and they told us about the different salts and things that came from the mine that we were about to visit. We got to try some of the different salts, as well as some of the chocolates that were made with the salt and things like that. So then, once we were done with that presentation, we did go to the salt mine and see where all the salts and things had come from, and that was neat. It was crazy looking, but really neat. And then that afternoon, you get back to the hotel. Lunch is on your own, so we went to a little cafe and got some food. And then we had our tour with the local guide, and we, just went kind of all around and saw different things, but it was neat. And honestly, I can't tell you what we saw, but the scenery is beautiful, and I really did enjoy Cusco way more than Lima. So that night, our tour director had arranged reservations at a alpaca steakhouse, or a Peruvian steakhouse that did serve alpaca. And this meal was delicious. I did not get the alpaca. I did try someone's alpaca, and I am a very, very picky eater, and it was good. So I really did enjoy the steakhouse. One, definitely recommend if it's an option for you. And then the next morning, we went to an alpaca and llama farm and kind of got to feed them, and again learn about the different furs and what they're used for. And this farm uses natural ingredients and things to dye their colors, so that was neat to learn about. And then we traveled to the Sacred Valley of the Incas. So this was kind of a long road day, but you make stops and things along the way. And we did get to try guinea pig during this. So if you are an adventurous eater, you can try it. Personally, it was not my favorite. I'm not going to go into all the details, but it was a little traumatic. We also, stopped at a little market for walking around and things like that, so we were able to get empanadas and things from there. I think I got a pizza one, and it was really good. We also went to let me see what it is called. I'm not going to be able to pronounce it. Alante Tombo. And we went and hiked up the stairs. I don't know how to describe what we went up, but it was a bunch of stairs, and I was out of breath at the end, but I survived. And I think everyone who wanted to go up did end up making it up in our group, so that was fun. And then we finally got to our hotel, got checked in, put our stuff down, and had an included dinner. I will say this included dinner, I think, was everyone's least favorite. I don't know if it was just the organization or the food or a combination of both, but I don't think anyone really enjoyed this dinner. It was a letdown for sure, so hopefully some changes have been made from that. And then the next morning, again, was a very early morning. So now we are on day 6, and you are getting up. Actually, let me back up. We got up very early because our tour director had gotten word that there may be a strike, a bus strike coming, and or a road strike, or some kind of strike, and she did not want us to miss being able to go to Machu Picchu. So we got up at I don't even know what time, close to 4 a.m. to get on the bus to beat the road closures. And then we got to the train station, and we were there for probably an hour and a half, and we just napped on the bus because we had gotten there early, but no one wanted to risk the possibility of not being able to go. And then we got on the train heading to Machu Picchu, and it was actually a pretty nice train. You're in little segments of 2 seats facing each other with a table in the middle. I think I read on the way there, but the scenery is beautiful. It is air conditioned. It was a very nice train compared to other ones I have taken. And then once we got there into the Machu Picchu town, we went and put our stuff in the hotel just because we didn't really want to carry it around with us. And then we went and waited in line for the bus to go to Machu Picchu. So we have, timed tickets on when you go and you get on the bus, and the bus takes you up. It's a really steep mountain, so if you get, motion sick or you're kind of scared of things like that, just don't look out the window. And it takes you up there, and we were split up into, I want to say 3 different groups, maybe 4 for the guides and stuff, and we got to see Machu Picchu, and it was stunning and everything I had hoped for and absolutely beautiful. We also saw some llamas while we were there, so that was neat. And then we took the stair or hiking path down, and there's a ceremony that you can do with a rock. You find a good rock and a bad rock, and you take it with you, and you leave the bad rock over the edge, on the bridge. I don't know, I totally just butchered all of that, but those stairs going down were insane, and my legs were shaking by the time we got to the bridge. The bridge was kind of sketchy, but we survived the bridge, and then you had to walk back to the hotel up this major hill. So if that's your vibe, go for it, but just know that it is a hike down and a hike back up. And then that night, we all went and got dinner together at another, I don't think this place was Italian. I got pizza, but it was one of those kind of. Day 7, you have the option to do the return to Machu Picchu, and I really kind of misinterpreted what this meant, because the description on the website says, and I quote, "Return for a second visit if you can't get enough Machu Picchu. We don't blame you. Beat the crowds bright and early and enjoy the quiet, unobstructed beauty of the ruins on a different route." So none of this mentions hiking, and ours was a hike. We went on the Machu Picchu mountain trail, and Sally was like, if you're not at the top by 2 hours, just turn around, you're not gonna make it. And again, I was not prepared for this to be a hike. I was wearing jeans like a dodo. So we were at the bus station at 5:30 for this. It was a early morning, and it was a hard hike. and I had to stop so many times. I was so out of breath, but somehow I did end up making it to the top. I will say the stairs on some of these segments, actually a lot of the segments, are terrifying, and you can honestly fall off the edge. So just please be careful, because that would be really unfortunate. We did get to the top, and the views really were incredible at the top, but it was a challenge getting up there. So once you're done with your return, you take the bus, or we did take the bus back to the main city area, and we got lunch. And then we were back on the train to go back to Cusco. The other thing that happened with this day is on our way back, we got to the train station in, I guess, Ollantaytambo, and one of the guys realized that he left his suitcase on the train. And so they had run back to try to get it, and the train had already left. And I don't know how, but Sally somehow managed to get in contact with all of the right people and was able to meet the train in Cusco when we got back and get his luggage same day, which was insane and absolutely impressive. And I don't know how that was possible, but it was. This night, she also helped us order dinner for delivery to the hotel because we had gotten back so late and everyone was exhausted. And a lot of people were signed up for early morning activities on day 8, which is a free day. So that was really nice that she was able to arrange that for us, because I did not have the energy to go out and try to find food. So day 8 is your free day. This is also your last full day in Peru. And there are several options that your tour director may or may not provide to you as things that you can do on this day. There's also the Peruvian Pisco Sour workshop that is offered through EF, and that is right before the farewell dinner. But you have a large chunk of the day from when you wake up to about 4 or 5 p.m. that is free. And I'm going to tell you right now, I hate hiking. I am not a hiker. I understand people love it, but I am not one of those people. And I decided to go hike Rainbow Mountain because it was on my bucket list, and I probably wasn't going to make it back to Peru. And so I decided, let's go hike it, even though I hate hiking. It was a 3:30 in the morning wake up to go. And gosh, it was such a long day. But I will say, if you opted to do Rainbow Mountain, the cost included transportation, breakfast, the hike plus a guide, lunch, and then transportation back. There are also several other different options of things that you could do this day. I mean, everyone did kind of all sorts of things. I think everyone ended up doing, I know there was the Rainbow Mountain hike, the easier Rainbow Mountain, the other hike, as well as a lot of people went to Sky Lodge, I believe. I mean, there's just so many things that you could do and make the most of your time there. So you really couldn't go wrong. And then you honestly didn't have to do any of those. You could go and just walk around and shop if you wanted to. It was whatever floated your boat. And then, like I said, the Pisco Sour workshop. And I did not do that. I passed on that. I'm just not a big drinker, but everyone that went said they really liked it. And then you had the farewell dinner. I was with 3 other girls trying to get to the farewell dinner, and we got lost, and we were the last ones to get there. We were soaked from rain, and we ended up having to take a taxi because we were just so lost. But the farewell dinner was so much fun, and it was probably my favorite environment for a farewell dinner. Like, everyone was just having a great time, and I really did enjoy it. And it really was really fun. And then day 9, you were flying back to Lima. So again, it's kind of an early morning. So we landed in Lima probably around 11 and had a large chunk of the day before we had to go back to the airport. So we went and got lunch, and then we also went to this really cute like gelato shop that was like sketchbook themed. And we did have a day room at a hotel, so you don't have like an actual overnight room here, but we had a day room so you could shower or nap or whatever you wanted to do. And then we left for the airport around 7 p.m.-ish. It was not long to get through security or anything like that, so everyone was able to get a meal at the airport. And then we headed home. And that, I mean, it was such a fun trip. I loved every second of this trip. Okay, we have finished breaking down the itinerary. And like I said, this is my favorite trip that I have been on. However, there's a few other things that I want to go over, tips and tricks kind of wise, of things that I feel would be helpful for you to know before you go on your trip. First thing, I have harped on it so much. Hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. Yeah, you get the point, you know? But you're probably wondering, you keep telling me that I need to hydrate, but how am I supposed to get the water? You know, am I going to have to buy a bunch of bottled water while I'm there? Answer is you do not. So our tour director had us pay a $10 kitty, or like in a pot, you know, like just all together. And that gave us unlimited water throughout the trip. And so she would purchase boxed water, and we would have multiple boxes on the bus as well as multiple at each hotel. And they would be marked with a sign that said for Sally's tour group at the hotel. So we always had access to water. And that was really important, that we did have that access, especially because you don't want to get altitude sickness and you really want to stay well hydrated and eat. Especially in Cusco, you may not feel as hungry just because of the difference in altitude, but it is important to eat as well. The other thing is for the train, when you are going on the train to Machu Picchu, don't bring your large luggage. There's just not room for that on the train. It's going to be hard to lug around. If you're staying in the same hotel in Machu Picchu town that we stayed in, we had to carry our luggage from the train station to the hotel. So I would recommend bringing a packable duffel bag, if that makes sense. Something that you can pack down or fold down really thin, and then just keep that in your suitcase until you need it. That is what I've been doing, especially for souvenirs on trips. So I will bring it with me until I need it. But this was really helpful, being able to only carry a duffel bag and like my backpack on the train. And then the third thing, tipping. I want to go over that just because sometimes the recommendations you get on the app from like the automated EF bot, whatever you want to call it, sometimes they're a little bit lower than I think they need to be. And our tour directors do so much for us on tour. And obviously, you know, be fair to the experience that you received from your tour director. So if you had a really bad time, I understand. However, all of my tour directors have been incredible and have gone above and beyond for me and for our tour. So I would recommend doing $8 to $10 per day of your tour. For this one, I would not include day 1, which is your travel day there, or day 10, because that's when you're getting home. So this would be 8 days. You're looking at $64 to $80. The app actually kind of hit this on a little bit closer than I was expecting. They recommended $60. So again, up to you, but I would shoot for $8 to $10 per day. And then you're looking at about $2 per day for your bus drivers. You don't necessarily have the same bus driver, I don't think, the whole time, just because from Lima to Cusco, you're going to have different people, and then you're in, you know, Machu Picchu town and things like that. But about $2 per day for those bus drivers is, honestly, you could go $2 to $4 as well. Really just depends on the kind of service you get and, you know, what you are willing to pay for their services, but they really do go above and beyond for you. So if you have any other questions that I happen to not answer in this video, I am more than happy to answer them for you. Please leave them below in a comment and I will make sure to get back to you. But hopefully I did answer a lot of your questions. I hope you are looking forward to your trip, or this has convinced you to book your trip. Either way, please leave your questions below and I will reach out with you soon. If you're ready to book your first trip with EF Ultimate Break, you can book using the link in the video description to save $100 off your trip. The link will automatically apply the promo code. Let me know if you have any questions, and I hope you have happy travels.